First and foremost, we're obviously very, very proud to be here, representing not only our school, the University of Vermont, but also the state of Vermont. It's been an interesting year for the Catamount hockey team. We've had some ups and downs, but certainly pleased for these guys that despite losing in semifinals of the Hockey's Championship, that we have an opportunity to play again, so we don't want to take that for granted. Certainly want to thank everybody here for the organization that's gone on. Great to be here in Minnesota. Couldn't ask for a better hockey town, so we're looking forward to the experience of playing against Wisconsin on Friday.
I don't think it's any different than any other night. We're playing a great league, with a lot of great teams. Say like a UNH, a lot of firepower, similar to Wisconsin. I just think our league's so balanced that we're going to be ready for any challenge we're just ready to play any team that we have to play, and we've got a great team in front of me, and I think if we execute our systems, it's we're not going to have to change a whole lot.
Kevin, you guys are the last team in terms of at-large. Do you guys use that as motivation? Do you guys kind of have a chip on your shoulder to play beyond those expectations, maybe?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a little bit of higher expectations, I guess, for ourselves coming in last seed. But I think if you look at our league, we were last seed as well, or to get in the playoffs as well. But it was pretty tight in that league too. And I think at this point, every team that's in maybe the NCAA tournament is going to be a good team. So I don't think it's too much pressure being the last seed. But at the same time, it's we want to perform well.
In the back.
Brian, with WIBA Radio in Madison. How much did last year's experience, do you think that can carry over into this year's experience, getting to the Frozen Four, having a number of guys playing that big-time game in the Frozen Four?
Yeah, I do think, the experience helps, but I think it helps more because, the guys who were here last year are more motivated. We made it there last year, but we didn't quite, win it all. We fell a little short. So, I think the guys are just motivated to get back to where we were and then further.
Kevin, I'm Andy Baggett with the State Journal in Madison. What's the biggest difference from the team a year ago to the one now? Every team changes, I know, but what stands out in your mind as the biggest alteration from a year ago?
That's a tough question there, but I think that we had a core group last year. We have a lot of the same guys coming back this year. I think the difference is that I think we had more of a superstar last year, with Victor Stahlberg on our team, and this year we've spread it out. I think we've got a bunch of guys up in the top, over 20 points, and I think we've spread it out a little bit more. I think we're a little bit more experienced back on D, and Rob, being a sophomore now here, he's got a little bit more experience coming into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's been interesting. A couple years ago, we've been together as a staff at the University of Vermont for 7 years, 5 years in Hockey East. We've taken steps, I think getting to the TD Garden a couple years ago, playing in the championship game against Boston College was a big step. And, last year, obviously advancing to the NCAA tournament for the first time in our era, those are key experiences for your student athletes, and to have that core back. The biggest thing is that there's they're comfortable, not with who they're playing or what their opponent is or the challenge in front of them, but just knowing what to expect out of travel and the itinerary and all these things. Nothing's new to them right now, and they're able to tell the younger guys what's going on and what they need to do to prepare for a big game like this. So I think I'm more comfortable knowing that they're more comfortable.
Coach, I'm Andy Baggett with the State Journal in Madison. To what degree does it help you to have as many common opponents this year as Wisconsin had, Denver, Duluth, Yale, those types of things that give you an idea of what to expect?
It certainly helps, versus playing a team that you can't compare at all. But, I really, in terms of preparation for this week, we looked at their games this past weekend. I think this time of year, when you get in the NCAA tournament, obviously all the teams are great teams. I think it's a danger to really focus so much on your opponent and instead of focusing on yourselves. We didn't play very well against Boston College, as Kevin alluded to. We played soft in the first period, played better after that. I'm more concerned about getting the most out of our team right now. And that's not to say that we don't share Wisconsin tendencies with our players, because we certainly do that. And we have have a strategy in place, but, you know, to get wrapped up in looking back and comparing, you know, how a team did against another team. You know, I think the only thing we can look at and say is that we had some success against WCHA teams this year, you know, split with Denver and beating Duluth. I think that gives our guys a little bit of confidence that they can play with some of the best teams in the country, which we certainly know Wisconsin.
You guys have been in, I think, 7 overtime games since the end of January. When you get to this time of year, you know, where games are, you know, tend to be a little bit tighter, do you think that experience will help you out?
I think so. We've had success in 1-goal games. I mean, I certainly am a big fan of winning games by more than 1 goal. Tends to keep your heart rate down a little bit. But I don't want to say our guys are comfortable with it. I just think they don't lose confidence in those close games or those overtime situations because they've been in it. They know what it takes to win those situations. I think winning that game, you know, in double overtime against New Hampshire in their building was certainly a tough accomplishment that we're very proud of. Not an easy place to win, let alone shut them out back-to-back. They're a great team, obviously an NCAA team. So I think, you know, just having some confidence that we can play in those tight games, which tends to happen this time of year, I think is important for us.
One more. Yep. If you could just pinpoint maybe one thing or a couple things that are big keys to having success tomorrow night.
Wisconsin's a great team. Yeah, you know, there's not a weakness. You know, they're strong in the net. They have one of the best defensive cores in the country, if not the best. Their forwards are a great combination of grit and skill. So they're going to come at us pretty hard. There's no question about it. I think we have to make sure that we don't fall victim to what we did last weekend, and that's stand around and watch and be in awe of Wisconsin like we were with BC for a while. We can skate with anybody. We can play with anybody. We've proven that. We just have to have confidence to play our game. You know, you hear these guys talk about playing our game, playing our systems, playing physical. You know, we need to be the team making aggressive mistakes versus the team being passive. I think it's very important that we get off to a good start.
Do you think it needs to be a low-scoring game tomorrow night? Would that work into your advantage?
Not necessarily. You know, we certainly haven't scored as many goals as Wisconsin, but I think if we're on our game, it's a good blend of creating scoring opportunities, puck possession in the offensive zone, and making sure we limit grade A opportunities going the other way. So, you know, in an ideal world, it would be, you know, somewhat of a low-scoring game, but